Hey, welcome back to my channel. Today we will be doing part 2 of the Scratch platformer tutorial. Part 1 we covered basically all of the code. So for this part we're going to work on the graphics and I'm going to show you how to make a nice character and a nice ground. So let's just go back to the project. Okay. So this is the project now. We have the basic code and all that stuff, but it's like very plain, right? So before we start talking about the graphics, there's going to be a few things we're going to switch around. So when we go to player, we're going to take this change y by -1 and we're just going to move it right here above the change y by y. And then right here for the change y by 0 minus y, we can just bring in a multiplication block. We can do y minus y times 2. And then for this, it's a if touching ground, if this, we can just bring down an and block and say if touching ground and any of that. So we only have to use one if block, so it just reduces the code, and we can do that. So that's all the things we're gonna change. So for the actual game, usually you'll want to pick out a palette for all the colors for your game. So you can go to coolers.co, spelled like this, and then it will take you to this palette website where you can click start the generator and then you can create a palette. So I already found a palette and this is the link for it. So we'll just be using this palette for now. It's a basic palette. You can change the colors for your palette here, but then once you're ready, we can press export. We can this VG file, and then we can go back to our game. We can go to backdrops. We can upload that palette, and then we can just delete this link, and then you have all the palette colors here. So that's how you get a palette for your game. So we can use these colors. So for the ground, we can just change this to one of these colors. Usually you'll want to do the darkest color, so we can pick that. We can do the paint tool to basically equip it. We can bring it over here. And then we'll just want to create another little block right here. And this will be to add the design to the platform. And then we can go back over here and you can pick the next darkest color. So let's do this red. And you can change it like that. And then you can zoom in if you want to make it exactly where you want it to be. And then we can make it a little bigger, move it up more. And then you're gonna create one last one for the last color. Oh, that didn't create one. Here, we'll just copy and paste this. So you're gonna wanna create one last one right there. And then you can go back to your colors. You can pick the next one. We'll do this one. This looks nice. And we can click that and make sure it's all lined up. So that looks good. So then we can just adjust it a little more to make it look nicer. Like that. So then that's how you create one of these. You can also, with the pointy tool, you can do this. You can create points and you can drag it down to add effects to it. It's like, look, it's like adding a little like bouncy kind of grass effect to it. This looks, it just matters how you position it. This won't look the best because I'm obviously not spending much time right here, but you can just kind of do that design and then it'll look pretty good. So we can do that, and then you can just get this block. You can copy and paste it. Maybe we want to flip it vertically. Then you can just stick it right over there. Maybe send a back layer, and then you can delete that. So that's the ground. And then player decoy, we can also add that to there, but we'll do that later. So for the spikes, we can just click one of these we didn't use. We didn't use this one. So you can go over here and we can click on that spike. Maybe we'll want to make this a bit darker so it's more recognized as a spike. So that's almost black, maybe not all black so far. And then because it also matches this color, you can just grab this color and move it in so it looks a bit nicer. And then we can make that darker. So that's kind of how you can create your ground. So that looks pretty nice. You can change the points and all that. And then the spikes, you can just add outline to this. Yeah, that's probably easier. So you can add outline to that. I'd suggest making it like 5 or 6 because it actually adds like some like bulge to it. So maybe not that big for such a little spike. Okay, so we can do that. And then for player, there's many different ways you can make your player. But if you just want like the normal one, you grab a point here, and you can just curve it in like that. And then that's a nice curve. And then you can do that for the others. So once you get your cube how you like it, I think this looks pretty good. It's not perfect on all the outsides, but I think it'll do for now. You can make it a little smaller because it's a bit too big. We can center it. And then as you see, it moves perfectly over here. And then if we want the animation, we can do player, we can call this player forward, player left, and player right. So then we can make the eyes. The eyes is one of the most difficult things because you have to kind of get it perfectly. So this is gonna be a bit of an odd creature I'm gonna try and make. We can just have 2 eyes there, one there. And we can just make it a little bit lighter, like that. And then we can try to line it up perfectly. That looks about right. And then make it the same distance from each of the sides. That looks good. And then the mouth, I'm just gonna put a square in there. And then we can change this, make that curved, make this curved. Oop, not that much. Oop, gotta adjust that. Okay, so that looks nice. We can maybe make this, a nice red color. And then for this, we can add the little white spot in the eyes right here. This is the part that's gonna be a bit tricky here. We'll just do a little bit lighter so it looks a bit nicer. So we can do that, and then we can do this one right here. So that looks, it looks decent, all right? It's not exactly lined up. Maybe we want to just do like a little white spot in the eye for the eyeball. Really anything you want. One of the main tips for this is that you never want to just use squares. You always want to use like a curved square. And this tool right here, the pointy thing, it's one of the most helpful tools in the entire Scratch editor. It helps a lot. So we can maybe raise that a bit, both sides. And that looks pretty good. Not necessarily the best, right? And then these are in the center right now. So then we can just copy, delete that, paste that, and then this is left. So we're gonna wanna change all this to the left side. So we can make that a bit bigger, and then we can just copy that, delete that, and we can just move them to the right side. And we wanna make sure it's like the same distance from both. So once you do that, you can click play. And obviously it doesn't do it now because we haven't set it. But if you want, we can go to start game. We can set costume to player forward. And when the left key is pressed, we can switch to player left. And then when the right key is pressed, we can switch to player right. Like that. And then while you're jumping, if you want a costume, you can go down here and then if touching ground and up arrow, you can change this to a jumping costume, but I'm not going to add a jumping costume right now because I think it looks pretty good. As you can see, it's slightly apart, so like kind of transitions nicely. So that looks pretty good. And then, so once we do that, that has like the player art and the player animation. You can make it a little bit nicer. We're just going for kind of like a darkish, purplish kind of theme. Then we can go to the backdrop, and the backdrop is going to be what kind of like holds the thing together. You have to have it nice. So we'll get this one. We'll put it here. Then we'll make this a bit lighter. I have to make it look nice. And then you can also move it down, and kind of like a sunset, you can just kind of change it as it goes lighter. This is a really nice effect that if you can get perfectly, it looks really good. And then if you want, you can always change this to none of that, so it looks good. So now that we're done with the animation for this, we can work on the death animation when you die. So when you die right now, it instantly kills you. Okay, so down here, we can also change this to -175 and 243. So now when you go down, it actually does the bottom, and it doesn't like stop like right here at the midpoint. So right beneath die, we can clear the graphic effects, and then we can repeat 10 times and change the ghost effect by 10. And what this is doing, it's like fading it, so watch. It fades right when you touch it. So that's a nice death animation. There's many you can do, but I think this is the most basic, and it looks pretty good because it's nice and simple. So that's the death animation. So now we can create a trampoline. So we can just duplicate danger and call this trampoline. And then it's the same code as danger. We'll just want to delete all of that. And then we can create a nice trampoline. So we can just maybe do this. Maybe something like this. Just a nice little pad. And we can maybe adjust that to make it bit nicer. And then the good thing about trampolines is that they're usually yellow, right? And the good thing about being yellow is it brings out the contrast in the image. So obviously we don't want this yellow, but we want maybe something kind of like that because it looks nice and it kind of like fades away from what the rest of it is. So here, let's see. I think that looks nice. And then we can go to, because this is a dark, and then the spikes kind of bring out some like white, we can just maybe make that to like a gray. And we can make this to a gray. So it doesn't do anything right now, but we can say, we can go back up here, and we can do if touching this, then you can also say if touching trampoline, we can just put that right underneath. If touching trampoline, set Y to maybe 20. So you jump this high normally, but when you do this, it bounces a lot higher. Then maybe we can change this to 18. And then this doesn't have to be an if then, so we can just make that a normal if. So that's how the trampoline works. And then you can just add that to the levels. And then we can also add other features, but that will be in part 3 where we can add a shop and we can add the coins and all that kind of stuff. So after you do that, So this is the graphics for it. So next we'll talk about level design. So right now, obviously we only have trampoline and danger and then the ground, but level design, say if you're doing like a 10 level platformer, you can start it. Let's just move this trampoline up here. You want to start off with a pretty easy level. So maybe we wouldn't want that there, and then we'll obviously have to adjust all this to the art. So we wouldn't really want already a trampoline and a spike like in this design because it's the first level and it'll look a bit too much. So maybe we can just have this little jump, and then we can remove this trampoline. We can keep that in level 2, and then we can take this danger and delete it. So now when you click the flag, the entire first level is just maybe a little jump. So that looks pretty good, right? And then as you move on, you'll want to add different grounds. Oh, that's 242. This is 243. So we can maybe just make that 240. We can change it back to 240. We can see, yeah, that works nice. Okay, so this is the first level. And then maybe on this level, we'll have to change this. We can do that, and then we can do this. We can flip it, and then have it here. You can line it up perfectly so it looks nice. And then we forgot to add the rest of that, so we can just stick it there like that, and then we can stick it there like that. And then just line it up so it looks nice. Move it up 1, maybe 2. Okay, so now it looks maybe like nice ground. And then you can move it up a bit if you want the level to be kind of higher. And then you can add a little thing. Hold up, let's make this a lot smaller. I do not know why it's so big. Oh wow, it's huge. Okay. So maybe we can just create that, and then we can maybe change that, and then make this smaller, or we can just add more loops to it like that. So that should be pretty easy. Okay, and you can do the same thing on here. Just change it up a bit, add some drops like that. Ooh, doesn't really line up that well. Okay. So once you do that, then you can just make this piece match up with it. Just like that. And then you can have a piece you can use. So we can do that. We can stick this to the back layer. And because it sticks up so much, you can just shorten it like that. And if you want, you can also add other patterns to your ground if you want. So the wall hop works nice. The wall hop is a little small right now. So maybe we can just go back up. We can change -5 to -8, 5 to 8, 10 to 13. Yeah, that's a lot nicer. Okay. So this is the second level. Maybe we'll want to have that. We can add a spike maybe right here close to the beginning. And we can have a spike near the end, and then we can put the trampoline right below that. So you start the level off like that. You can climb up, and then you can use the trampoline to bounce over it. And then so for this last level, maybe we just want this, but here, we can do something like an impossible jump, where we can go back, we can add this block into there, delete that, move this over here too. So this looks impossible, but then maybe we can add like a little trick thing up here. So it's like a little cube and we'll make it pretty hard to find. Maybe we'll we'll make it a lot smaller. Maybe we'll just make it right there, and then we can also have one here. Let's group that. We can make that right there. And then we can add one more and put it right there. So this is kind of like a mini block level. So we can put it right there. So now it's not really impossible, just kind of got to use your mind, and you kind of got to find where the blocks are. Well, it's not really find because they're in plain sight, but you know. So once we do that, we can add spikes down here if we want, but it'll already die because of the Y value. So maybe we can just put them close together, copy and paste them, make them look scary. Oh, they do look very scary now. Don't know how many spikes we're gonna do. I feel like this is a lot. This might be too many spikes by now. Okay, so that's good. So now there's no way to get past there except if you do this path up here. And then maybe we don't need a trampoline for this one. So once you do that, we can, so pretend our whole thing is 3 levels, right? We can then we can duplicate this block. Okay, so this can be the end level. So we can just we can delete that. Delete these. So when you play it, this is the first level, this is the second level, this is the third level, and then this 4th level, let's just even it out right there. Okay, looking better. Okay, so once we do that, now we can move that to back layer. Now it is impossible to go to the next level, so we can add some text right here that says, "Thanks for playing." So we're gonna be doing 2 more things. We're gonna be making the ground decoy, and then we're gonna be adding a text for the game. So when we go to ground decoy, we can just copy and paste everything into it. And then same thing for the next level and the level after that. So the ground decoy, it's just there to add like a little height, and then you can also add like cool like plants and like things on top of it, which we'll add to the ground decoy in a second. So once you've copied and pasted everything, you can click the start again, and then we can add maybe little pieces of decoy. So let's just experiment with this and see what we get. Maybe we can do this nice purple. We can do this nice thing like that. And we'll just see where this goes. Okay. So we can group this. Maybe make it like that. Let's see how this looks. Okay, I kind of like this. This looks nice. You can also add like, obviously like actual grass and plants, but for now we're just gonna make this quick little thing and we'll just put it in there. So this is kind of like the ground decoy for this level. Then we can go to the next level. Maybe we can add one of the same thing maybe, and then let's just do that. Okay, maybe that's all we want for this level. And then we can send this to the back. And then maybe up here we also want, maybe we'll make a new thing and we'll make it maybe a light purple, and it will just be kind of like this seaweed type of texture. And we can group that, put that here, maybe make it a little closer to each other. Maybe we could duplicate it, send it back, and then you have more texture up here. So obviously this texture doesn't look the best, but you can add any type of design you want to it. And then for this level, I don't really think we need any more, so we can just go to the end. And then the last thing we'll be doing is adding a text. So we can duplicate the trampoline. We can call this text. We can delete that. We can keep all this code. And then we can do that. So when you start, we can just name this welcome to this platformer. A nice bright color makes it look nicer because it adds more popping to it. So we can do it for this level too. We can call this avoid spikes and jump on trampolines. And then for the last level, we can say something like, be careful with these tiny jumps. So now when you start, you have a text engine kind of thing, and it can look really nice, and it just adds so like the player can read, and so the player is more like into the game. So one thing that's not really that so good here is that you can see this ground decoy kind of like it doesn't blend too well. So maybe we'll want to just add like that, and then we can swap it so it like fades in kinda. We can make this a bit smaller. We can move that up maybe something like that, and then maybe we can keep this one. You just kind of want it to blend in. So maybe on this one we can have this go down a little more. Maybe we only need one of them. And then up here, maybe we want these to be a lot brighter. So maybe we can do something like that. So that is it for this part 2, where we worked on all the graphics. Next time we will work on part 3, which will be the features. We will add a shop to the game, and we will also add coins and speed boosts and other types of things. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. See ya.
Subscribe.